Tottenham TV. It has finished PSG 2, Tottenham 2, but Spurs have lost 4-3 on penalties. I'm here with Ash from Spurs Kings TV, and I'm also here with Deji Spurs from Deji Spurs. Guys, sum up your feelings right now. I know we're a bit gutted, but we have held PSG for 80 minutes, or 85 to be exact. And we've let it slip at the end.
Yeah, we let it slip. I think we're gutted. Had someone, before the game, had someone said, Spurs were going to draw 2-2 with PSG and go to pens, I probably would have bitten your hand off. But given the circumstances, we were literally 3 minutes away from picking up our second trophy, from being European champions. And I do feel, look, it's not, Thomas Frank's only just got here. There's a lot to learn. And it's still a learning thing, and I think he will learn from it. I would have liked to have seen some changes early on towards. You could clearly see Kudus was tiring, Polina was tiring. Maybe if we made those subs earlier on, maybe Bergvall stops Lee from scoring that goal. And then for the penalty shootout, like for me, we were talking during the match that if players don't play well during the game, don't let them take a pen. And yet Tell fast himself and decided he was going to take the fourth pen and killed us. Also, Vicario's just not that guy. He didn't look like he was going to save any pen. And for me, that's cause for concern, because if you want to be challenging at the top of the table, you want to be a Big Six team, you need a goalkeeper that can do all things. That is, deal with set pieces, maybe, get to pens. I'm just thinking about the Crystal Palace goalkeeper. I think he saves a pen tonight, do you know what I mean? And these are the fine margins that they talk about between winning and losing. But look, it was a great effort from the lads. I hope they pick themselves up and learn from it. But you can see there's still gaps in our squad that needs to be fixed before the transfer window ends.
Yeah, I'd just like to add Frank out. I'm joking. Hey, remember clip that bit as well.
Clip it.
They know there'll be people in the chat will do that narrative, like Ange would have won the trophy, we would have got over the line. But I just thought there are things to learn from. From Thomas Frank's point of view, in my opinion, I thought we did well on the set pieces. Like I said, it was a different piece of the toolkit. I didn't want to go too early with the whole masterclass and tactics, etc. Because I said we still got to manage that game, and I think that game management was what ultimately killed us. And I said, for me personally, if I looked at the squad and what was available on the bench, we didn't have a lot to offer in terms of changing that game. Maybe having that quality to come on to kind of help us get up the pitch. We were pinned into our half for large portions of the game, but I thought we defended well at times. I just felt we did tire, and that's when we mentally switched off. And you could see it from the front two down to some of the midfielders weren't able to close the gaps. They shifted it from left to right, and when they did, we weren't close enough to stop those crosses coming into the box. And as I said before, when you're tired and fatigued, things like switching off, when you're allowing Lee Kang-in, who's a top footballer, at the edge of the box, get a free shot, that can't happen. That can't happen at this level. And we're going to play elite Champions League level players, we will get punished. Even in the Premier League level, it will happen as well.
Well, the thing is, 85 minutes, when you come up against an elite side, and it takes 2 chances and they're back in it. So you can clearly see from there.
Yeah, because we had the majority of the shots. I think it was 9 shots, so we had 12 at the time.
Yeah.
And we were leading at the time. I'm talking about. I don't know what it ended on, but again, we had more shots on target as well than them at the time. But then, as you said, football's about moments, and that's what I mean. When you recruit elite players, they give you those moments. I know lots of people will talk about profiles of players and this player's skills get, and tacticals will go crazy. At the end of the day, you just need the player to have a moment, and they had those players that could do it. We didn't. Yeah. And ultimately, that's what let Frank down, in my opinion.
It felt almost like I don't want to say that we had given up, but we went almost too defensive. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to sound like a bit of a hypocrite, because at one stage, I love the fact that we looked more
organised
100%. In terms of our defensive structure.
Definitely.
But you know, you can't go 45 minutes defending for your life against, you know, some of the best teams in Europe. You know, sooner or later, they're going to find that space hole. And I think, you know, it's a lot of work to defend when you don't have the ball. And you could just see that PSG were just gaining momentum, gaining that strength because they're on the ball and the boys are starting to tire. And there, for me, is where you got to manage it. And look, for me, I actually think, weirdly, even though Thomas Frank has just got it, he did flop with the subs. I think he flopped with Tell. I think the idea that maybe he was going to hold up the ball was a good one.
Yep.
And I felt he thought Archie Gray was going to do something, but both those two brothers let us down. They let us down, and I would say they were just off it by that yard. That yard was what caused this result. And then Pens is anyone's game.
So we've got 2 super chats here before we talk through the game. It says, I know it's a tough to swallow, but what a very promising game. Looking ahead, Coys. And then the other one was...
Who's that super chat?
That was from Essa Al-Shamari.
Big up your damn self, man.
Big up, man.
Respect, man. You get me? You need a bit of positivity as well, man. He's talking facts. You
And-
did need that. It was good, the performance, you know. There are some positives to take from that result.
Yeah, I mean, we drew with PSG. We lost on pens. Let's be real. We managed.
So
to...
did Liverpool, to be fair. Liverpool lost some pens as well.
Yeah, so
It's
it's a
not-
respectable result, and I don't think, apart from Liverpool, who else holds such an attacking forward 3 or 4?
Yeah, true.
Do you know what I mean? And if we could keep them at bay the way that we did, Arsenal don't have a firepower of that level. Even Man City, I would argue, don't have firepower of that level. Chelsea don't have firepower of that level. So it means that defensively, we have the structure in place to get it done. But what we do need, and Thomas Frank talked about this, I think even after the Arsenal game, our attacking third, that needs a lot of work.
It does.
It needs a lot, because let's be real, as happy as we were, the goals were scruffy goals. Do you know what I mean? It was a run of play.
Yeah.
It was set pieces.
It was a smash and grab
We didn't
kind of.
score from open play, you know?
Yeah. We didn't really create nothing apart from Richarlison's shot in that first half.
Well, this is what the manager's got to work with, and he's done the best what he can. But go on.
Yeah, so Perv Kumar says Matisse Tell can't run, can't hold the ball, and can't score.
Told you, crash out's coming. Crash out is coming on it.
So let's quickly talk about the first half. You know, we were all feeling a bit positive after the first half performance. You know, we started off well. Is that something we can now take into the Premier League for the season, or is it because PSG we had a game plan against PSG and we can't really do that to other teams in the Premier League?
It's case by case, because against Burnley we're going to have a different opposition and we're going to play a different way. We're going to have a lot more of the ball, and so that formation that we played with a back 3 today, I don't expect us to play going into the season against Burnley. I think we'll go back to the back 4, dominate possession, have an extra man in midfield, and play with wingers as opposed to wing backs.
Yeah.
And it's down to Frank to figure out a way how, I don't know if we're going to bring a player in now because it's Wednesday night already,
and it's Tottenham.
And it's Tottenham, so I can't envision a player with attacking prowess coming in for Burnley. So he's going to have to figure out a way to negate Burnley playing that low block, and it's something we have struggled before in the past. But coming back to this game, I just think that the first half, there were positives. We pressed aggressively, I felt. I thought we got at them when they tried to play out from the back. I thought we were winning second balls, especially when they kicked it long. I thought we were winning the headers, winning those duels. I felt Pep Sarr defended really well, helping out his partner in Danso in terms of like centre back covers, because he needed help against Barcolo, who for me is a elite player. And I thought we won our duels well. I thought we defensively looked solid. And then moving forward, we had the better of the chances. And some were in open play. There was a chance that Richie got hold of a shot, tested their goalkeeper. I think he did really well, in my opinion. There was promising signs from Kudos as well. As I said before, for that assist, for Richarlison, for that shot. And then there was times he was holding that ball up when we had to kind of kick it long into him. He was able to get under control and bring us up the pitch. And sometimes it was decision-making from Kudos that kind of I wasn't excited about, but I know we can work on that. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And there was chances he had a shot blocked as well. We could have taken it a little bit earlier, but there was moments there were moments in that game when I thought, oh, actually, we've got their number. Do you know what I mean? So there were promising signs. I also thought Bentancur marshaled the midfield well, alongside Saar, as I said already. And I think the standout performances for me has to be Spence. Spence had a really good game.
Yeah, quality game.
Playing as a left back. Van der Ven for me stood out as well. Obviously, he got the goal, and he also made an important block, even though it was offside. But he did make important headers as well. So Mickey Van der Ven, man of the match for me. Just moving forward. But that first half, those were my standouts.
Yeah. Look, I agree. Look, I think there's a lot of positives that we can take from the game. I thought Jed Spence, absolute legend, arguably the best left back in world football from that performance. Papsar again working hard in the middle of the park. Bentancur. I don't remember seeing Polina do anything actually. I should stress that. Kudus before he ran out of steam, actually was doing bits, and I thought Richarlison did these bits to add a little bit of chaos. I was happy with Danzo to a certain extent, apart from the fact that there were a couple of times where they got the pace on Danzo in that first half. But generally speaking, for 85 minutes, I thought we were solid. I guess for me, what stood out for me, and when you take a step back and you reflect on the game, is just the difference in quality. I think Thomas Frank did the best he had with what he had.
Okay.
And so you can't take anything from him. But if you look at PSG, there was no weakness. Everyone could do something. Everyone was a bit of a danger man. Well, we didn't have that. When you brought on Tell, you knew he weren't doing nothing. Richarlison, you knew he weren't really going to score a goal. Do you know what I mean? And I really do think that this game has highlighted the serious need. If we want to be that big six team and we want to kick on, then we need the likes of Savinho and Eze. Because for me, I think that dip in quality, the subs that came on, it's not enough for what we want to do. And we're talking about wanting to compete on all four fronts. We can't compete on all four fronts with this team. The other thing is this that I'm slightly worried about. And I don't want to sound too negative because it was a fantastic performance. This was a final against PSG. So in a way, it's kind of easy to motivate the players. Can we motivate the players enough to get this sort of performance, this sort of hard-working performance, structured performance against the likes of Leeds, against the likes of Burnley, against the Bournemouths of this world, where it's not a sexy tie, but really you need to get the job done. Those are the sorts of questions that I feel I need to see answered.
So got another super chat from Michael J. Noonan. It says, has Tell ever had a better game than Timo Werner? Okay, second half.
Timo Tell, the Libbies.
Oh, hold on, we've got another super chat here as well. I've missed it. From Kusi Yed 81, it says the subs cost us. Gray and Tell not good enough. No. And then Aviv Shalom sent in a super chat that hasn't put anything in it. So thank you very much for that from We Are Tottenham TV.
We knew that.
We did know.
Marlon, we knew that.
Clear as day.
And when they brought on Gray, we were like, nope.
Yep.
When they brought on Tell, we were like, nope. So we knew that.
We knew that. But the manager didn't know, which, when you look at it...
It's got to learn.
With Johnson and Odebear staying on the bench, and he had better options. I think that's the bit that's going to kill everybody. If you'd put Johnson on and Odebear, and you're like, okay, cool, Tell and Gray are not getting it in the neck. But look, second half, we started off, we scored. Danso had the header. Then... once PSG got that offside goal, did we start to feel the tire was starting to turn on that point? Because that's when the subs started to come on.
Yeah, I think that's when, and I said it before, this is where we can kind of look at Frank. How is his in-game management? How does he manage the team when he sees legs are looking tired, or when he sees that momentum shift and it's going in their favour? Can he disrupt that? Can he do something to negate them moving forward? He's got to learn. That's what it is. He's got to learn. This is a different level. He's learning on the job at the moment. He's never been at this level before in his career. But at the same time, as you said before, you look at the bench. Who can you bring on to kind of, carry out what he wants? So it's a catch-22 in my opinion. You can't do the job to the best of your ability if you've got your hands tied behind your back.
So are we sitting here saying, right, because we're talking about subs, and we've got Aviv Shalom sent another super chat, people need to get behind Tell and not turn on him. But my question to both of you earlier was, okay, if we sign Savinho and Eze, but...
we still have the problem on the bench.
But we still have a problem, but is it a case of Frank has been let down in the cup final before he's even started because those players
that
are
was
not
always
walking
going to
through
be
the
the
door?
case. I thought it depends on the scoreline. How... because some people will look at this and think the boys did well, they gave it a go, and they performed well. But I think it was disappointing that it was in our hands and it was 2-0. And if maybe he had some players through the door, that maybe they could have helped us in this final, and maybe we could have taken advantage of the fact that PSG didn't have a full preparation. They didn't have a pre-season.
Because you can clearly see at the end there, if we look at it, they started to come back into the game.
Yeah, that's
they
when
start. We start.
picking up.
They
got the subs,
and that's when they started to show their quality. Yeah. So actually, if they'd had a pre-season, could that game have been a lot worse for us because we had
we'd
no
never know.
attacking.
To be fair, we'll never know. It's all hypotheticals.
Unless we get them in the Champions League.
No.
Unless we get them in the Champions League. Look, I'm looking at it. Look what Bayern did to us, and they had a pre-season.
But at the same time, the formation we chose. This is the first time, this first competitive match for Frank, and he decided that he was going to go for a back three, and for a period of time, 80 minutes, 85 minutes, it was working.
It was working, yeah.
So to go out and say that is a bit harsh in my opinion. But go on.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, I just think it. When you're under the cosh, in those moments, what you need is the dribblers. Yeah, someone who can take the ball up the pitch and get it into a corner. What we didn't have was a dribbler who could do that. You know, Tell didn't offer that. But also, Brennan Johnson, if he had come on, he doesn't offer that either. The only person who could have done that in our squad at the moment is Kudus, and he was absolutely shattered. So I think Thomas Frank, he hasn't been let down. He's working with what he had. What it has done, though, is it's confirmed we need more dribblers, because you think if you had Savinho there, he dribbles up the pitch. You know, sometimes, and that's the sorts of Zahas of this world. Eze's, that's why the Crystal Palaces are able to play well, because they've got these dribblers. Yeah,
but the question is, you say he's not been let down, but we knew he needed dribblers from last season.
Look, Madison's gone. Yeah. Look, Son's gone.
Kulusevski.
So Kulu was quite out already, so we knew that. Son, they would have known weeks ago was leaving. Yeah. The only one out of those three you're going to go, okay, it's bad luck, is James Maddison. Yeah. But should we be going into a season with just James Maddison and Kudus? Yeah. These are the questions. Yeah, no, right. So Chameleon Eyes is just put in a super chat as well. But before we go to the call-in show, we need to talk about Tell. And the reason why I want to talk about Tell is because we said he's going to let us down. He's let the team down. Where does Tell go from here? Where do we go as a fan base with Tell? Because he's not... Timo Werner, at the moment, has produced more in a Spurs shirt in the 6 months he was there than what Tell has.
Look, I think let's not get, too reactive.
Well, this is what people are going to say.
Yeah.
Look,
I agree. Yeah. For me, I think the reason why Tell's getting it tonight is because he shouldn't have come on before Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson, who scored in the Europa League final, didn't even touch the pitch.
Didn't even touch the grass.
So that doesn't even make any sense, in my view.
When he's one of the 4 scorers in pre-season. Or one of the 2.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Thomas Frank, maybe over the course of the season, he might be able to work with him and get something out of him. But this wasn't the game. You've not had time to work with Tell. So therefore, Tell shouldn't have touched the pitch, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that Tell doesn't come good towards the end of the season. I think it was too soon for Tell, and that's it.
Ash?
It's very dark right now. It's very dark for Tell. No puns intended. Look, he's going to find it hard because the club are actively looking for players that play in his position. Do you know what I mean? Unless they're looking to utilise him as a striker, I don't think he's best suited there, in my opinion. I think he'd be better out wide to develop. I'm not saying he's a winger, but he's more of a wide forward, if that makes sense, or somewhere in between. And he's got some work to do. It's another hurdle in his career that he's gonna have to go against. So.
All right, that's our match reaction. Thank you for tuning in. And now let's get the guest in. And our first one is, here we go, Emerson Royale lover, Barry himself.
Bazar.
Barry.
Right, mate.
How we doing, boys? You all right?
Yeah, you good? It's only a friendly bet, Barry. It's only a friendly.
Look. Is anyone sitting here thinking we weren't going to get slapped up tonight?
Yeah, no, facts, bro. Facts.
Look, I think. Overall, the positives to look. I know we were 2-0 up, and they scored 2 goals in 9 minutes. It went to penalties. We were rubbish on penalties. I don't understand. Look, I don't understand why Romero's not taking one. I'm really confused about Tell being on the pitch for 10 minutes and taking one. Um, I think it just. I think the bigger it's the bigger picture, right? The squad is what it is. It's weak. It lacks depth. But look, we got to take the positives. It's not today. Is not a day to talk. I'm glad I don't have to come on and talk about how bad Son was. Um, I'm glad. I'm glad I don't have to do that. But isn't it funny that the AC Milan are also they get rid of Emerson Royale and they're going down the pan? Yeah. No, I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying.
Narratives have to
It
narrate from a
happened.
young
It
age.
happened with Spurs. It happened. It's happening with AC Milan. But look, today is about positives. All right, positive. Pape Mate Sarr, Porro and Spence. All right, again. Do I have to apologise to you, Marlon, talking about Spence? I'll apologise because Spence and Porro were fantastic. I think in that back line was fantastic. Polinia, Sarr, the subs hurt us, but what can we do? It's not Frank's fault. It's not like anything else. We took the best team in Europe for 85 minutes. And do you know what I'm going to say? All those Arsenal fans that have gone live to shamelessly laugh at us, absolute weapons, mate, all of them. Dan Potts is live, Lee Gunner's live, Terry
Really?
Flewis is live.
What a surprise.
They are
crazy.
absolutely shameless.
I love the fact he calls Terry Flewis a gooner.
Mate, I am.
Secret
I'll,
ruler.
I'll go after him. But do you know how shameless that is? Literally sitting there laughing at Spurs because we're in a final, a Super Cup final. They're nowhere near to be seen in any
They were
finals. These
bricking it, Barry.
absolute
They were
frauds.
bricking it.
Absolute
nervous.
frauds. And I hope all of you three are going to go after him, please. Go after
Definitely.
these.
Don't you worry about that.
I'm not worried about that, but I'm just. Do you know what I mean? Like Arsenal fans. Oh, Spurs bottled it. Oh, look, the goals. Two fantastic goals from PSG, right? But can we talk about? I think the one thing we need to talk about, and Marlon, you said this. You said this the other day. Vicario, like, what is he doing in that penalty shootout? We may as well have had Fraser Forster in goal, the tree in goal, because Vicario was the same. Instead of the tree, he was the Flappy Bird.
Yeah. Barry, do you know what? I'm so glad that you brought up Vicario because I brought up Vicario during the stream and both Marlon and Ash looked at me. And for me, it's a big concern, man. I've been saying it from day dot. I'm not comfortable with Vicario. Sometimes I call him vicarious liability. But, for someone who's supposed to be playing for our club, he's just not commanding enough. Like, you knew during the penalty shootout he wasn't going to... He didn't come close to any of the pens. Yeah, he didn't guess right for any of them. That's the sort of levels that we're dealing with here. And I mentioned that I reckon the Palace keeper does better. Vicario is the goalkeeping position is something we need to look at. I don't think Kinski is the answer either. But we need something. Yeah,
You need both of them as one.
Yeah, and look, if you look at penalty shootouts and you look at what we've seen, we saw at the weekend with Henderson, we saw in the women's Euros with Hannah Hampton, and the way that they're coached and the way that they're making saves or even getting near them. Like you said, Vicario's got nowhere near them. All right, you can say Van der Ven's and Tell's penalties were poor, which they were. The other three, absolutely top draw. No one's saving them. But what is Vicario doing? And I don't want to have to go after a player because, we tend to lose our minds as Spurs fans and we tend to go after players and everything else. And we've all been guilty of it. But he has to do better. I think
Barry,
he has to do better, no?
Sorry to cut you, Barry. Do you think the club has let down Thomas Frank today by not giving him one or two players that can, help us in the attack? Because at one point, we were defending for our lives, so we didn't really have that option off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, look, 26% possession's pretty bad, right? Look, we know that this club has time and time again, let managers down, right? And Daniel Levy was in America because his daughter's starting university. Okay, I get that. I don't know how. I thought it was because she was getting married, and when they said she's at university, I was like, okay, cool. I don't think that's massive. Massive thing considering, the bigger picture. But maybe he didn't want to be there because he thought we were going to get slapped up. Maybe he didn't want to be there because the same questions were going to be asked. As soon as what happened with Maddison happened, we need to start making moves, right? We knew that Kulu's out. We know Maddison's now out. We knew Son was going. Everyone knows my feelings and thoughts on Son, but we're still missing, whatever it is, 60 plus GAs from that team. We saw tonight that the two centre backs were the ones scoring, and look, actually, fair play to Richie. The pigeon was not a dead pigeon tonight. He actually, give him his dues. Give him his flowers, as the kids say.
Yeah, he tried.
He did well. Solanke's coming back from injury. But what do we have coming off the bench? We bring Tell on, like you were saying. What about Brennan Johnson? Look, I'm not a massive fan of Brennan Johnson, but he gets into the right place at the right time and scores important goals, right? So I don't understand why he's not come on.
Yeah, I agree, Barry. Look, I saw this game as a win-win bet. I said if we win, great. I think what this game has done is it's really highlighted, even more so than the Bayern game, the holes. Barry, you rightly, no one's talked about Vicario pretty much all summer, but that is an issue. And I think, today we saw that the quality just isn't there in terms of our... I mean, we had to adopt pretty much a back five. I mean, it's ridiculous. Do you get me? And at one point in the second half, it was one up top, but really it was 6 in the midfield and 4 at the back. So, and he's having to do that because he's having to work with what he's got. I'm saying Thomas Frank hasn't been let down because he's just come into this space.
Yeah.
However, if we start the season with this squad, then he's been fully let down. Right now, what I'm expecting Thomas Frank to do is to get on the blower. Yo, Levy, did you watch that? Great. I'm glad you watched that, mate, because you could see that we couldn't hold up the ball. Yeah, and we had no quality and we couldn't have a decent shot on goal. Yeah, so please get Savinho and Eze over the line. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, but what's Levy going to... Levy's going to go, you're the coach, you sort it. Bro, we've been through this before. Like, I don't get what people are suddenly thinking that Levy's going to turn into someone new over 25
Marlon,
years.
You're right. I think. Do you know what this brings back? And I know we don't. I know I've said before we shouldn't look back, but this is bringing Poch vibes back, where he's got a good 11.
Yep.
But when we start with what's coming after the 11, we know that isn't good. And Frank's look, if we talk about what we would have seen under Ange, we'd have got slapped about 4 or 5-0 because he wouldn't have cared and we'd have just played the high line. The high line is who we are, mate, and all that jazz, right?
Yeah.
What we saw from Frank is we saw nothing that we've seen in pre-season, right? He's gone to a back three. He's adapted to the position and to the opposition that we're playing. He knows we're not going to have a load of the ball, so we have to adapt. That's what we want. We want to see a manager that can adapt, but we need to give him the tools. If that, 100%. I don't think that's Eze, and because I don't think it's the terms that are the problem. And I think we've both seen, we've seen that Arsenal and us don't want to pay Palace's terms. And I think the other problem is obviously with Savinho is that Man City are asking for 80 million or whatever. Like you said, Ash, try and drop 65 with some add-ons, and let's see if that tests their nerve. But I think we're just it's 2 weeks or whatever till the transfer window shuts. Maybe it's a bit longer. I don't know when it actually shuts, but I don't know if we're going to be active. Like you said, Marlon, a leopard never changes his spots, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's going to need to.
Yeah, but you got to remember, everyone told Levy last year it was the manager, it was the manager, it was the manager. He's brought in one player for the manager, and we went into a cup final today with one player.
Yeah.
So why does anybody think Levy's suddenly going to go, oh, you know what, I'm going to change? Maddison's injury might make him a bit more active, but I tell you now, it's not going to be the player that we're all expecting.
then look, honestly, what I would say to you is what tonight showed me is that Thomas Frank is a good manager. I feel like he edges Postecoglou in the sense of we drew with PSG, by the way.
Yeah.
We lost on pens.
So Levy's looking at that as a positive.
Yeah, well, we yeah, I heard that because let's be real. I don't think the realist of Spurs fans, we weren't expecting a draw.
No, we wasn't.
I think even if we lose 3-1 or 4-1 tonight, no one's upset by it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's PSG.
But Levy's going to look at that and go, oh, so you can compete with the top boys.
Yeah, but I guess the thing why I'm hoping that Levy, and I'm hoping I don't come across too naive, you can see the difference Kudus makes. 55 mil, Kudus on the pitch, you can see the difference. And if Levy's got any sense, I know what you're saying, Marlon. No, I hear you, but I just believe that the fact that we're even agreeing personal terms with Savinho and Eze, for me,
but that's not the hard part.
It signifies a shift in mentality.
But that's not the hardest part, is it? The hardest part, agreeing terms with a player, is probably the easiest part you'll ever go through. Yeah. It's the negotiation to try and get that player out the club. Now let's take Paulinho. They said they were looking at him two weeks ago. Now if I'm to believe what Daniel Levy said, he does the negotiation part. So it was his part that takes the longest. It always does. And it seems to be whenever you read the directors of football and stuff, they're always blaming him for the last hiccup. Everyone's blaming Lange again. But again, he might be bringing players to the table, but who's doing the negotiation? Yeah. This is the question.
We've seen it time and time again. Dybala was agreed, and then Levy cocked it up. Spence took too long because Levy was dealing with the Spence. Do you know what I mean?
Spence. Look how long Spence took. And that was Levy signing.
As well.
Porro took the whole month to negotiate. Yeah. Danso, whole month. So it's look. We can all see it, but we can see the whole system.
100%.
But here we are.
Boy. And I think. Look, I think what's happened is that we've gone bang Kudos, bang Gibbs White, and then we've seen what's happened with Gibbs White, right? And I think that's then put a shock in. That's then put a spanner in the works. Then we've seen Maddison go. Now Sonny gone. If we're gonna sign someone, then I think you're right, Marlon. It's not going to be who we think. But look, look for me. The positives are there. Frank, look, but I think again, Marlon, I kind of err on the side with you, right? Levy's going to sit and go, oh, Frank's only been here 6 weeks. Look what he's done.
Look what he's done already. To be fair, and it's exactly what he would be expected as well.
We got slapped by Bayern Munich, and now we're drawing with PSG. What a bounce back! Imagine what can happen another 3 weeks, and another 3 weeks, and another 3 weeks, and another 3 weeks. But look, guys, there's lots of people.
Cheers. Yeah.
Thanks for having me on. Big up to you all. And look, let's take the positives for a change, guys. It's PSG. Yes, it was 2-0 and 9 minutes and penalties and all that. But PSG, now, again, and I'm sure there's some people in here, there's definitely one person in here that's going to say it, is it's over to Levy and the board to give Frank what he needs, right?
Yeah, so, definitely true.
Big up, everyone. And,
cheers, Barry.
See you next time.
Yeah. Before we go on to the next guest, we've got a couple super chats I just want to run through before we bring on the next guest. So Benjamin Cohen goes, why all you toxic in the comments? What a performance. I agree the changes were awful, but at least we had a plan. Literally drew with the champions. And then we've got Chameleon Eyes again, who says, bro, I'll be dying on a hill defending Tell. I really can't anymore after this. He's young, yes, but he's horrid. Boys.
He's not good, man.
I think that's it. But yeah, let's bring on Stel.
Stelios.
Big up, Stel.
Good evening. How you doing? Deji, Ash, Marlon, you alright, boys and girls?
Yeah.
It's only been, 21 hours since I last spoke to you?
I got 21 hours to go.
UJ, Stelios in the building.
Oh, man. Listen. I'm not upset. I'm not angry. I'm not happy. I'm just flatline, beep. Yeah. I said it for a couple of weeks, guys, man. When we beat Arsenal, everyone got hyped up, and I said, guys, just chill. Don't get excited. It's a long way to go, but you can't get angry or upset either because there's a long way to go. You know, I never had us down to beat PSG. I thought we were going to get slapped 4-0. The fact we were in the game was just, hey, we're in the game. But, you know, to be 2-0 up with 5 minutes to go, though, man.
Sucker punch, innit?
Listen. Let me ask you a question before I say what I'm going to say. If it was Wenger, Ancelotti, Klopp, Pep, Sir Alex, 2-0 up, 5 minutes to go, do you think they're losing that?
Nah.
But
Pep did it with Real Madrid, didn't he? He allowed Real Madrid to come back.
they have better players and a better squad. And that's the only problem. That I can't. You can't really compare the two.
2-0 up.
The squad's mad.
2-0 up. 2-0 up.
The squad's mad.
5 minutes to go.
But if you gave them our squad and not the squads they had,
See Ferguson with our
with a squad where Ferguson,
Wenger with our squad.
Wenger,
Can I throw the question back at you? But can I frame it differently? Do you think under those managers we would be 2-0 up against PSG?
Klopp, baby.
Well, the way PSG played for the first 60 minutes, yes, because PSG were half asleep for 60 minutes. They were, as much as our tactics were the right tactics, because on the Spurs 5 on Monday, I said to Sean, I asked Sava, I said, would you go to a back three and push the full backs up just to ask some questions of PSG's defence and test them a bit? Because when Chelsea asked questions of that back four, there were problems. So is it worth us doing it? And they said,
No,
Frank ain't going to go to a back
four.
three or. But then they also did say, if we were to change it, it would ask a few more questions. So on that side of things, Frank, in my opinion, got the tactics right, absolutely. And PSG were half asleep, and we exploited it. The thing is, though, and this is the reason I was asking. It's not to dig out Frank. I've said the guy needs time, right? I'm not digging him out, but the one concern I've had about Frank the day we hired him, and it's why I flipped to say keep Ange.
Really?
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
Go on.
There's a rumor going around. I don't know if you've seen it or heard it, but apparently, to be a winner, you're born with it, man. You're born with it, and to do it under Levy and Enoch is something different. And Ange, listen, as much as I've disrespected the guy, and I don't think he's this amazing coach, he wins everywhere he's been, and he did it even at Spurs, and he did it under this ownership. Frank has never won anything, guys. He's a good coach. He's a good developer of players. He's tactically
Ange would have won tonight. Is that what you're saying?
No.
That's a different story.
Sorry.
Now you're opening up a 2-hour show, right? Now you're opening up a 2-hour show.
Sorry, my bad. I'm jumping.
But
carry on.
the point I'm trying to say is, in all his career, he's never won a trophy. Now, you can be a great coach. You can get us maybe top 4 or top 6 or get us to a quarter final. That's great. Listen, it's Spurs going in the right direction. But he's never, ever, ever got it over the line. At Bromby, he couldn't do it. With Brentford in the Championship, he couldn't win the Championship. And with Brentford in the league, he never won any domestic cups. Now, people say, but Bromby, come on, man, it's a Farmers League. Bromby won a trophy in 2005, 2018, 2021. Not when Frank was there. When he was at Brentford, people say, but he'd never won a trophy. How do you expect him to do it? Well, Eddie Howard never won a trophy, but he won the Championship with Bournemouth. And you look at Crystal Palace, who have won an FA Cup. Anything's possible, right? Frank has never won anything, guys, anything. And tonight, I thought, blimey, he's gonna prove me wrong. He's gonna do it. Frank's gonna win a trophy. And look what happened, man. That ending was Spursy. That was so Spursy to 2-0 up and you lose.
Don't think the board let him down then, in your opinion? Like going into a final? like they had them with his hands tied behind his back, or you think that he had enough to kind of just figure out, you're the coach, go and do it?
I wouldn't have weakened the team with 10 minutes to go. I wouldn't have weakened the team with the subs, because you're literally that close to winning the Super Cup. And tonight we would have run right on the Arsenal fans, which is why they're running right on us, because they know what we would have done to them, and we would have. We would just imagine Deji on all the shows this week. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Man,
Right?
let's get ready.
And I bet you are. So I personally wouldn't have made those changes, and certainly when it came to penalties, I think Frank got it wrong.
Steph,
I
can
think
ask
he
you
got
a
it
question?
wrong.
Can I ask you a
I'm not
question?
blaming. By the way, I'm not blaming Frank for us not winning the Super Cup, because I thought we were going to lose 4-0 tonight. I was expecting us to get pumped. Yeah.
No, I was on
This
the
is
same.
this is the difference, Deji. This is the difference between being a winner and a good coach.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
No,
And tonight, I saw a little warning sign. But again, I said I'm going to give Frankie it, and I will. I just wanted to talk about it because a lot of fans will be too scared to talk about these things, because they'll be labelled negative, toxic. They hate Tottenham. They're gooners. All that, all that weak argument.
I think you make a really good point. I guess the question I want to ask is, both you thought we were going to get pummeled. I thought we were going to get pummeled. I was saying 3-1. And yet 85 minutes into the game, or 80 minutes in, we're 2-0 up against PSG. I guess the question I have for you is, given the tools that Frank had, and Frank had at his disposal, what changes, if any, would you have made? Because I'm not going to lie to you, we were looking leggy in the midfield. See that, bro? Love for that.
Big up.
We were looking leggy. Do you know what I mean? Kudus was looking tired. Polina was looking shattered. Do you know what I mean? Who else was looking shattered? Quite a lot of them looked like they'd run out of steam.
Yeah.
Guys, I would have just completely shut shop on it. I would have gone full-blown Mourinho style, stunk it out to the maximum, let the cheese smell come out of that defence, the stinkage, and just locked it down, because we don't have the attackers to bring on. We don't, like you said, I agree with you. Levy hasn't backed Frank with any decent replacement for Son, any decent cover for Kulu and Maddison. There's no cover for on the right if Kudus was to get injured. So there's no cover for anything really. And the two strikers we've got, they never score goals. Really, they work hard. We praise them for working hard, but their job's to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
So absolutely, Levy hasn't given Frank the tools, which is why I've said Frank needs at least a year. And we've got to see what Levy's going to do to help back him. But
Or Vinay.
Right, it depends whether you're Lubo, right? Lubo's the one that says Vinay. I always say Levy, right? Because Levy employs the Vinays and the Paraticis and the Hitchens. But like I said, man, I'm not angry. Like, look at me, I'm not angry about tonight, because I expected us to get battered. I think if I was to properly analyse tonight's game, I think Frank set us up with the right tactic. I think tactically that was the right approach. And PSG, they were just half asleep for 60 minutes, and we caught them cold.
Yep.
It's not my problem. That's PSG's problem.
Yeah.
If you're not ready to play, that's on you. We were ready to play. We played. But you saw as soon as PSG woke up, mate, we were pinned in. They were all over us. And I think that's when we should have just shut it right down.
Yeah.
And we either bringing on a couple of attacking players. For me, that was the wrong call. I would have probably brought on another midfielder and sat a bit deeper, maybe another defender. But okay, Frank made his decision. It didn't work out in the end. But penalties, guys, look, man, it has to be said. This Mateus Tell's an absolute waste of money, man. He's an absolute waste of. I'm sick of people defending him because of his age. Since when was an age an excuse? Wayne Rooney at 16 was doing things you've never seen before. Yeah. Right? Look, you never see us cussing Bergvall. He's young. You never see us calling out Mikey Moore. He's young. But with Mateus Tell, but because he's young, it's not fair. He's young. What does he bring to the table? What does he do? Ever since I've seen him at this club, I don't know what he does. The occasional one good cross, maybe he scores one goal in every 10 games. Guys, the minimum requirement with a penalty is hit the target.
Yep.
The second minimum requirement is get it in the corners. The third one is score. Right? In that order, they're your minimum requirements. He hit the ball so wide it landed in AC Milan Stadium. It's unacceptable. 35 million. We paid 35 million for that.
Yeah.
You know, Van der Ven, he didn't score, but at least he hit the target.
Yeah.
At least he tested the goalie, right? You're not going to score every penalty, but I'm very frustrated that we've spent that much money on Tell, because that could have been part of the package to get Eze.
Yeah.
So instead of us saying we need 80 million to get Eze, we could say no. All we need is 45 million, because we've still got the 35 we didn't waste on Mateus Tell. So by spending money on Tell, maybe now we're struggling to get Savinho. Maybe we're struggling to get Eze. And that's why I get frustrated when we spend big money on these haymaker, these punts. We hope they land. And
do you
I
think
don't know,
Tell,
man. Not for me. Not for me.
Do you think now that Spurs fans will give up on Tell and that he doesn't have a future?
I don't think they'll give up. I think Tell has to win the fans back.
How?
Because I think what was damning about tonight was that everybody knew as he stepped up that he was going to miss.
And this is the problem. He came on, and everyone said from that moment was deflated. I think everyone in the chat said it. Everyone else, you said it. So his Tottenham career is hanging by a thread. And then he goes to take the penalty, and as Stel says, he doesn't even hit the target. Yeah, sure. Spurs fans are not going to forgive that. There's been worse play. Like for you, Stel, this is like who's had a better time in the Spurs shirt from one of the questions that came earlier, Werner or Tell, so far in the 6 months that they've both had.
If you look at the stats, okay, goals, assists, successful dribbles, successful crosses. If you average out games played, it's Werner. And that's a tough thing for me to admit, because
I know.
I hated Werner. I absolutely despised him. Look, nothing would please me more than for Mateus Tell to throw egg on my face, just like Ange threw egg on my face. I'm here for it. Bring it. I just don't see it. Like with Odebert, I see potential. I actually see it.
Everyone sees it.
You know, with those three young lads that came on in Europe when we won 3-0 last year. Adeji, Mikey Moore, and who's the other one? There's one more. Scarlett. Yeah. You think, aren't we better off, instead of spending 35 million on a kid, getting one of our academy players and say, do you know what? You're going to be given all the minutes we were going to give to Mateus Tell, and we're going to develop you, because you really have shown us something in the academy, and we're going to put faith in you, instead of saying, here's 35 million buying, we're going to put faith in Mateus Tell. Yeah. Surely every Spurs fan, if those were the two options, you'd say, do you know what? Yeah, go on then. If they're the two options, put that money towards Eze, or put that money... By the way, this isn't Frank's fault. I don't blame Frank that Mateus Tell's at this club. I blame Frank for saying Mateus Tell's a very good player and he can play anywhere across the front three, because, you know, that's Ange vibes. When Ange said Timo Werner's a good player, he's going to be a big benefit to us. It's like, come on, don't allow these crowd-pleasing comments. Just get real. But it's the club that signed Tell, isn't it? They're the ones that this deal got put in place. So Frank's stuck with him now, and Frank's got to turn him into a good player. Yeah. I don't know if it's possible at the level we want to be at. So, but look, boys, Levy's got to back the manager, and he's got to bring in some serious players, okay? Because if we had some serious talent across that front three, we would have won this today. Because instead of 2-0, it would have been 4-0. Game over, no comeback.
Proper cold, yeah. Because you got to remember, it's Romero and Van der Ven that scored the goals. So that says it all. Exactly.
And for 60 minutes, PSG were there for the taking. So if Levy backs Frank, like some of us Spurs fans have been saying, you know, it's important to get the business done early so you have a good pre-season. You can actually try and win the Super Cup realistically, and you're ready for Burnley. Now we're going to Burnley deflated. You know, that's not how you want to be going into the Premier League. And that's all on Levy. And people that are sick of the Levy conversation, the Levy out chat, tough. The chat isn't going to go away until the chairman backs one of the managers at this club. And he's got to back Frank. Otherwise, what was the point of sacking Ange? And Frank, he's got to, at some point, prove he can get it over the line as well, because he's never done it in his career. And it's not me trying to dig him out. this was my only concern with him, is that
It's got Poch vibes to it, isn't it?
yeah,
Because perhaps Poch, before when he came to us, he was a good tactically, but when it came to getting it over the line before that, with Espanyol and I can't remember where else he was at, but Southampton and whoever, he never got it over the line. He would never get it to that next step, and then he came to us and it was the same story. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
Let me ask you one question, then I'll go, because I know there's loads of people waiting to come, and I'm not here to hog the show. But
lies.
all right, don't worry about them. We go. We keep going. What do you think Frank has been brought in for? Is he here just to stabilise and make us a top 6 club again? Is he here to get us into the top 4 and be a regular Champions League team? Is he here to win a trophy? What? Because for me, I don't know what his remit is from the board. I don't know what they're going to be measuring him by at the end of this season and next season. What have they said to Frank? This is why you're here. This is what we want, and this is how you be judged. I don't know where we're at with that yet. What do you think about it?
Go on.
Yeah, so I think for this season, the board would be quite happy with top 6, top 8, simply because our Premier League finish last season was so woeful that anything above 17th is probably a good job. And then I would be saying that by next season they're expecting or they're hoping for a domestic trophy, FA Cup, Carabao Cup of that ilk. I don't think they're even expecting a trophy from Thomas Frank this season. And I think, look, when we brought in Pochettino, nobody was expecting us to challenge for the Prem. Nobody. I think that we just needed an improvement. I think they're secretly hoping that maybe Thomas Frank can enable us to be a top 4 team. I doubt Thomas Frank is someone that they're looking to win us the Prem. That wouldn't make sense to me. I think he just needs to build a solid foundation, maybe improve the young players that we have in the likes of Archie Gray, Bergvall, Papsar, get them to a certain level, and then they bring in a Luis Enrique, they bring in someone of that ilk to get it over the line.
So for me, they're showing it already where they expect, because a lot of people said with our squad last season we'd finish in the top 10 with a couple more signings probably in Europe. So I agree with top 8, but I think what they're also expecting is a good cup run, unless we get one of the top 6 away in both competitions, because obviously Ange got to a semi last year and then he got to the 4th round, but it was the 3-day turnaround against Villa. And I expect Frank to get out of the Champions League group. But I don't think the club are setting him up to win anything, because if that was their remit, they would have, tonight, he would have had the players already signed, sealed and delivered. Forget Gibbs White for a second and forget Eze, because they thought they were going to get Gibbs White. But Savinho doesn't just come out of thin air. Paulinho, okay, they got him in, but for me, most of these signings should have happened already. And that's the bit where I go, you're setting him up just to finish in the top 8. To get back into Europe again, get us just in, consolidate us into that place again. But for me, you got to get out jail free card in Champions League. This is your chance. This is where you have to take that massive risk and go, I want to go back into the top 4. We've got Champions League football as a carrot. We should be trying to sign the players to take us back into that top 4 now, instead of waiting in 2-3 years' time when it's not even guaranteed.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you guys. I don't think he's here for silverware. I think he's here for just get us. Yeah.
But not next season, this season after. But it might be a little too late by then, because the way the other side's carrying on. Because what he said about Pochettino, no one expected it. It's just that the big clubs had a big fall off in the Pochettino era. Football's changed since then, and it looks like the top sides are not falling off. Chelsea and Man United fell off, but look how quickly they came back up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, listen, they're acting like big clubs. They're all acting like big clubs. We're the only big club not acting like a big club. Look, I'll go. Just 3 things before I go. I can see some brothers in the background, Brian Daigle and TJ. Can't wait to hear what you guys say. So big up. Don't be angry with Frank. Don't be disappointed. Don't be excited about this season. You just got to let this one play out, man. And wherever it ends, it ends. I have no expectation for this season. I take each week as it comes. And the last thing is, to all you Arsenal fans that have tuned in to laugh at all our Spurs fans tonight, I've been telling you for 2 years, and you haven't liked it, you've hated it, it's bothered you, I rattle you, it's too easy because it's the truth. Romero is better than Saliba. He turned up again, scored as captain of the club.
Yeah.
Romero's better than Saliba. I'm sorry. I'm not going to hear it from any Arsenal fan. And on that night,
Playing like that.
sayonara.
Cheers, Stel.
agree.
Thank you,
Cheers,
Stel. We've got 2 super chats before we go on to Mr. Daigle himself. We go RJ Roghella. He says, "Are we really going to say that 2-2 against PSG we should be celebrating? Our rivals Chelsea beat them 3-0, and we're like, yeah, we tried. Dumb." And I did.
Look at Chelsea's players and look at our players. What we're saying is we're not saying that we should be grateful for getting a draw. We are saying though, if you look at our squad on paper, we should not be drawing with PSG. It's night and day. So to get a draw with that squad is impressive. But however, we know, and we should be, as we heard from Stel and others, bringing in the 2 or 3 players that makes it a fair fight. Because let's be real, that wasn't a fair fight.
Let's go to Brian because I'll read out I saw one from Jory, but now I can't see it. Oh, here we. So Keenan72 Pearson's just sent in a super sticker. Thank you very much.
Big up.
I've lost Jory's because Stel was talking too long. Yeah, bring on Daigle.
Go on, Daigle. How you doing, bro?
What's up, Deji? What's up, Marlon? Big
Yeah.
up to everyone in the chat.
Big up,
Hope
man.
you are all good and well. How's it going?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's what it is, isn't it?
Hurting.
Mate, it is what it is. And you know what? For 80 minutes, I was absolutely delighted with everything we did. Everything we did. He went to a back 3, which he hasn't done all pre-season. The reason he's done it is obviously he wanted to nullify PSG's threat. We clearly don't have any creativity, and he had to adapt to what we had and go counter-attack. And I think in the first half, we were absolutely sublime.
Yeah.
Weren't under any pressure. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest spectacle, but we did what we had to do. The defending as a team was immense. The
Yeah.
last-ditch defending, Mav running as a team, working as a team. So it's brilliant. Then we go 1-0 up. And then obviously we just couldn't hold out the second half. And it was a quality issue. It was a quality issue. They, like Stel said, whether they were going full throttle or not, I think what Spurs were doing was fantastic, 2-0 up. And then quality shows, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So where do we go from here, Brian? What do we do? Because we obviously got, from the looks of it, we have a slightly good 11. But it looks
Yep.
like we've got poor quality players on the bench, but we did finish 22nd last year and half of them were playing.
I wouldn't even say slightly good.
Mate, we did finish 22nd in case we'd be in the championship. We had 22
17th.
losses.
Yeah, that's what
We
I
had
meant.
not-
22 losses.
We had 22. Look, do you know what? You look at pre-season and everyone was going, the creativity is shocking. There's no creativity. There's no outlet. There's no one to supply to. And he had to adapt to that today. And it shows because we do not have the quality. We haven't got anyone up there. We've lost 67 goals through Madison, Sonny, and Kulusevski.
Yeah.
We had 5 players last season that had plus 10 goals contributions. Not one of them was on the starting lineup.
Yeah.
The only one that was when Solanke came on.
Yeah.
That was there is a sheer creative issue, but I wanted Frank in so he could coach players. And that looked like, for the first 80 minutes, a very well organised, structured, disciplined
100%.
team. And it was night and day. Look, we've had Ange with 4-3-3. We've had Conte with 3-4-3. We've had Harry Redknapp that had their tried and tested formations, and they didn't adapt, only occasionally. But sometimes we're playing players out of position to play that formation.
Yeah.
And we had quality to sometimes get out there. We don't have the quality.
Yeah.
We don't have the quality. And then what I will say, the only negative is in that last 10 minutes, we really sat back, didn't we? We just stopped the press.
Well,
We
ran
stopped
out of
trying to
legs.
force it. We just piled the pressure on. But when you look at it, it's unfortunate that we lost. It's unfortunate it went to penalties. But I take a lot more positives from that game than I will negatives. I really do.
100%. I totally agree with you, Brian. I totally agree. Look, if we play like that in the Prem, and I asked the question to Marlon and Ash, I say we will win more games than we lose, opposite to last season. But what it does show is that gaping hole, that player to be able to go out and do something. The one criticism I would give Thomas Frank is the fact that I do think he got the subs wrong. For whatever, I just think Brennan Johnson should have been coming on for Tell. I think Bergvall should have been coming on for Archie Gray, or Odebear needed to be on, but not Tell. I just felt like Tell wasn't the person that we needed out there. But the way he set up the team in the first half, we were talking about how comfortable the team looked.
Yeah.
Now, we've got to remember, I know the season starts this weekend, but we always talk about the fact that it takes about 4 or 5 Premier League games to get fully up to match sharpness, up to speed. So to see Kudus, Leggy, I would have liked to have seen Kudus stay on, but he couldn't stay on. He was already, he was gone from the first half. You know, I would have liked to have seen, you know, Polina stay on, but he was non-existent pretty much the whole game. Do you know what I mean? So
He wasn't non-existent, man. He was not non-existent. He was tackling like an absolute beast. But you know what it is with Matisse Tell as well?
Yeah.
Is if you remember last season when we beat Southampton 3-1 on one of the protest that I was there when I came back to England, Matisse Tell took a penalty.
I remember that.
And he actually dispatched it very well.
Yeah.
So when he stood up, I was actually fairly confident he was going to put it away because he seemed like he was a natural penalty taker. But like Stell said, that was a penalty taker and someone very, very low in confidence.
Yeah.
Very, very, very
Why did he step up?
low in confidence. But I had do you know what? I honestly had no issues. I was a bit concerned with Van der Ven, but you look at the team, didn't really have any penalty takers to take them, did we?
This is the
Obviously,
issue.
Porro was always going to take the last one. Solanke was on. We took Richarlison off, who could take a penalty. Normally there'd be a Madison, a Kulu,
Normally
obviously a
there'd be Son
Sonny.
as well. Yeah.
But there was just no one there. There was no one there. And like we said, we went into pre-season really thinking, especially after Bayern Munich, oh my God, we're going to get torn to pieces. Well, we didn't. We didn't. We just paid the mistake for the last 10 minutes of switching off to the European champions. I'm going to get it in the neck because at 2-0 I started running my mouth to Arsenal fans. And
Same.
people say delete your tweet. And I'm like, no, do you know what? I'm going to own it. I'm going to own it. Like I say, if I give banter, it comes back fair
I've got
play.
50
You know
missed
what?
calls right now.
But mate, listen, I honestly say, if people don't take and see what Frank had implemented in just over a month,
No,
when
there's a
people
lot
said
positives.
we need better coaching, whether PSG were at their full pelt, whether PSG, like Del said, that's not our fault. We changed our game, and until we conceded that first goal, we looked comfortable. But like we said, it's always the thing, isn't it? The first 11 looks great, and then as soon as changes come,
Yeah, we knew it.
there's such a drop-off.
Yeah,
There
we
is
saw
such
that.
a drop-off. And I don't really want to talk about the Wally at the top, but it just shows that we need quality in that front line. We need to address this situation and not leave it till the last minute. But like I said, I am taking so many more positives than I am negative. And for 80 minutes, I was damn proud of every single Tottenham Hotspur player.
100%. I think we talked about the fact that, barring Liverpool, who else possesses an attacking, quartet the way that PSG have? I think Liverpool only. I don't even think City has an attacking force as serious as PSG. So the fact that we were able to keep them at bay with the squad that we have has given me confidence. Even pre-season, the way we dealt with Arsenal, the way we played against Newcastle, it's given me confidence that if required and we need to get dirty and do a rumble tumble, we can do it. But like I've been saying all evening, and I totally agree with you, Brian, we need 2-3 players of Kudus or above level to mount a
Correct.
serious charge if we want to be top 6. What Frank has shown us is that even with this squad, we will be top 10. But top 10 is not good
Without
enough for
doubt.
Tottenham Hotspurs. Yeah.
We'll
be top 10.
Without doubt. I was going to say, what do you reckon that the PSG fans, like they did to Arsenal, were telling Spurs that the best team lost? because to me they did. The best team lost.
Yeah, we were better. Yeah, I thought the best team did lose.
Yeah,
we were good today. We were good.
Damn right.
I think that's why it's quite disappointing that we played well for 85 minutes, and I think we've just seen this before, and it's the fact of can we come back from this, because a lot of them will be gutted. Frank needs to turn it around in the next 3 days, and we obviously we need some bodies through the door as well.
Yep. Well, listen, we've had to deal with this with 16 managers. Frank's first game, people going, "What's he won?" Bromby, like Stel said, listen, I just don't get it. I don't get it. No one has won anything until they've won something. He was in his first major, if you want to call it major final tonight, and he took the best team in the world, we'd say, to task.
Yeah.
And he just came up short.
Yeah. But I get what Stel's saying though, because he was given that opportunity because of what the winner, as in Ange Postecoglou, had done. And the problem that we've got is, and this is where I kind of agree with him until to a point. The 2 managers that have won under ENIC have both won at previous clubs before. And I think that what Stel's trying to say is, when you're coming to a club like Tottenham, you have to have won something before, because it's very hard to win at this club, as we saw with Mourinho and Conte as well. They've even failed. So I think that's where he was getting at, where you need to somehow change that mentality, which Ange did for the final. No matter how we want to put it, he got us to that final and he got us over that line.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. And that's where I think he's coming from with Frank. Nothing against Frank. I think it's nothing against.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. But like I said, this is what it does. I've got every single confidence that Frank carry on performing like that, getting the team as organised as that, the trophies will come. If he's backed.
I'm a bit like, until a certain, look, I'm different. Until a certain person has gone, then
don't get me started, Marlon. Don't get me. I'm in a good mood. Don't get me started on that.
But for me, I don't think if we were set up for trophies, I'm kind of going, we would have done it by now. But it took us to finish 17th to go and win a trophy. That's not the way forward.
No.
So
No.
You know, and it happened to be with a person who says, "I win things," and he does.
Yeah.
So it's that mentality issue that I think is more of the problem. And I think, look, Frank's a good manager. He's going to do well. But I think what Deji said earlier, this has got very much Poch vibes to it. And look what Poch did. So,
yeah.
Well, like I said, I'll leave you on this because I've got to go get my train home and it's about to start raining of all times now. I will say, look, I think it's very clear. People know my stance, Stealth. I didn't really want to talk about it today. He needs backing. He needs quality. If we can get the quality up top,
that's all we need.
Of serious quality. Like we said, a Paulinho, Kudus quality, and the 2 that we're rumoured to be in for are of that quality.
It's time to take the risk.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then we'll be absolutely fine. But on that note, I will let all of you crack on with the show. Great to see you two guys.
Cheers,
and I will
Brian.
just say, damn proud of Spurs today, and well done, Thomas Frank. We just couldn't get it over the line. Good night, everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks, Brian.
Cheers, Brian.
I agree.
We've got another super chat as well from Keenan, 72 persons. He says Kulu would have been perfect to come off the bench for this match, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think he would have been.
If Kulu came off the bench,
but Kulu would have started.
Yeah, he would have started.
Kulu would have started.
But we'd still be winning though.
Yeah, Kulu, because what
and
Kulu,
he plays the whole game.
Yeah, what Kulu would have done, which none of our players, he keeps the ball.
Yeah, that's what we needed in the second half is someone who can keep
Kulu,
the ball, take it from the back, run up the top, get into the touchline. A bit of
Kulu,
that's why I mentioned Zaha or an Eze, someone who can just dribble. Just take the heat off the back line.
But that's Kulu would have been absolutely perfect because he would have kept it in that corner and they would have fouled him and everything to try and get that ball back, and he would have done it because he's strong. Yeah, we missed Kulu tonight. And that's what I'm kind of have to look into my head is that Madison's out, but there is still Kulu to come back.
Yeah.
So it's not all.
TJ in
Yeah.
the building.
So let's bring out TJ. TJ, you well? It's a long time since I spoke to you.
Long time, bro. Long time.
Big
It's
up,
been a
TJ.
long time. In fact, before you kicked me off your show, remember?
I didn't kick you off my show. You keep bringing
I'm
that up.
joking,
I
I'm
didn't kick you
joking.
off my show.
I'm joking.
I want you back.
I missed you, my bro. Yeah, no, I missed you, man. Wow, what a game, you know. Look, I was wrong. I thought we would have got smoked, but look, I'm gonna say something, and it's not against Frank. I feel like he shot himself in the foot before we even kicked the ball.
Go on.
We needed someone like Basuma on the pitch to lock up. Because for me, the substitutions is what lost the game.
Do you know what?
And
I forgot about Basuma, you know, in all of this.
No,
I
I'm
actually
gonna be
forgot
so
about
real in it. Like I'm gonna be so real. Like when you actually look at it, I agree with Stel. We should have just kept the same squad on the pitch, or tell Tubby, man. On a serious note, man. Like we should have put Alderweireld in it. Alderweireld, Johnson, anybody but Teletubby, in my opinion.
100%.
Anybody but Teletubby. Because for me, I don't know, man. He's not a Tottenham player for me. We need to ship him out right now.
TJ.
Alfie the Zen.
Go for
TJ,
it, my
before
bro.
you carry on, I gotta just question you on the Basuma problem.
Yeah, go for
Yes,
it.
I get Basuma I get what you said about Basuma, but unfortunately, if Basuma's got disciplinary problems, you can't keep him in the team. No matter what you want to do, you
I hear
can't
that.
keep him there. And this is not the first. You gotta remember Balloon Gate with Basuma. If Basuma wants to be a professional footballer, he's got to act like a professional footballer. And unfortunately, being late, he has been told, all right, and I believe this happened under Ange as well, they have all been told to be there at a certain time, don't be consistent. And it sounds like Frank gave him more than one chance.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
want to be,
it's fair.
if you want to be a pro footballer, the first thing you've got to do, and Frank has clearly said this, you've got to turn up to training on time. Because if you're turning up to training on time, you're going to turn up for a match and you're going to take that in. Basuma is clearly showing a lack of disrespect to the new manager, and he's only been here 5 minutes.
And let me add to that, TJ. I'm one of the ones, I'm going to be honest, I've been having beef with Basuma for over a season. Because I'm on his gram, and left, right and centre, he's all about Louis Vuitton this, Louis Vuitton that. He even spent the summer doing the Louis Vuitton Paris, fashion fair. All them things, the lateness, the Louis Vuitton, the balloon gate, what does that tell you? He's distracted, bro. He's not focused.
It's true.
So for me, yes, you're right. He should have been there, but he's the reason why he ain't there. Because you're not focused, and that it means that you're not gonna. There's no guarantee that he would have been in the right headspace to do what we needed to do. Because
definitely
the man
agree
them
with
were
you.
working hard. Do you get what I'm saying? That was a hard job.
But he's better option than Gray.
Yeah. The other thing I was gonna say though, TJ, I hear your point. Look, during the game, I was
go
the
for
one
it.
calling out for changes. I'm not one who just wants changes for changes' sake. I could just see that Kudus was looking leggy from the first half.
Agreed.
And I actually think that part of the reason, and Thomas will learn from it, but sometimes you gotta make changes quick to save the legs. If you see the goal, we couldn't get to that Lee brother quick enough because they're tired now. But had you made because PSG made 3 changes at the same time. And I said to Marlon, why have we made only 2? Where's Bergvall? Not because I think Bergvall's this guy, but he has energy and he's just everywhere. And for that moment when you're holding on for dear life, you just need someone who can just dive and get a leg in. And I think he just left it a little bit too long. But I do feel if he had left it with the same squad, we would have got the same result. I don't see how those players would have been able to hold on.
Yeah,
for 90
I
minutes.
hear where you're coming from. Look, obviously, you should be able to discipline any player. However, this game right now, if we had a Basuma, a defensive midfielder, to come on, we could be champions of Europe. I'll be so honest with you. He shot himself in the foot before all of this happened, and Teletubby Tail didn't even help the situation. In fact, You know what?
I'm gonna
If
use
you
that.
put Alderweireld on instead of Teletubby,
Yeah.
it would have we would have had a better chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No.
the bit I don't know.
This is the bit, yeah.
Even the fact that Brennan Johnson didn't touch the field today, which is a damning indictment for Brennan, because it looks like my man doesn't really like him. But when you think that Brennan Johnson was our top goal scorer, and let's be real, if anyone's going to score a jabby goal, it's Brennan. When you're hanging on for dear life, you just got to go with what works. I swear, like even for the England team, who was it that domestically wasn't really all that, but for England would always show up? Was it Rashford?
Rashford was one. Rashford was one.
Rashford was one.
Peter Crouch was another.
Yeah, you know, they're in the squad because at least for country they knew what to do. They, you know, it
Even
worked for them. And I
Maguire,
think,
Maguire, you can say is one.
yeah.
And you have to take Michelle, what's her name, who plays for the England ladies,
Yeah.
turned up for England. Yeah, she had half a season on loan at Brighton, but never kicked a ball for Arsenal.
Yeah.
But yet she turned up to the Euros and literally turned it on for them. It can happen.
Yeah.
There are players that will turn up in certain situations.
It's true. It's true. So look, I have to say, look, Frank, it's not his fault. I'm gonna make it clear. And it's you already know whose fault it is. It's Levy. We should have had our signings in way before the tour. Let's be totally honest with you. There's no excuse. We should have had the left winger and the attacking midfielder. In fact, I don't want to talk about Gibbs White too much, but when that deal fell apart, we should have just gone, cool, on to the next one,
we
right?
fell apart when that fell apart.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's been a frustrating window because if we start the season with this current squad, yeah, look, what we've done 80 minutes, amazing. But we need a squad. There's too many games just to rely on. And we saw what happened to Ange. He had so many injuries.
And we've got the injuries already. This is the thing.
And we're leaving ourselves so short if we start the season without any real quality signings, generally. I was surprised, to be honest with you. Look, I'm not upset. I came in with we were gonna lose, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like I'm just frustrated that we couldn't hold on. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to dig out this Teletubby, but the moment he came on the pitch, it's like the whole team got messed up. And then he missed the penalty. That's when I had it.
It'd be
I don't know if
interesting,
I don't know if you were in the group chat. When he missed that penalty, I went off. And you know what? I was so composed through the whole thing because I generally thought we were gonna lose, you know. But is what it is, man. This is football, man. Football is a wicked sport.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's the one bit that I'm not quite understanding. And if I was in the press conference right now with Thomas, I would ask him, why did you bring on Tell
Over Odegaard
or
and
Brennan?
Johnson.
Because that for me was where
Archie Gray I can get. Not the guy I would have brought on. I think you're right. Berrival would have been the easier one to bring on. And actually, I said at the time, I could see Archie Gray coming on as long as they bring him in on the 8. But actually, he just looked lost.
He was fully lost. Bro.
He looked fully lost. But the Tells one, I did sit there a bit confused because where he put him, Odegaard and Johnson could have played in that position.
Yeah.
And we was calling out for pace, wasn't we?
Yeah,
You know, we could have
exactly.
actually gone long with Johnson.
Can I pause you? It's not even just the substitutes that let him down. For me, he picked the wrong people. I agree with Stel. It's if you're gonna take off your guys, you should have brought on Ben Davis. As much as a lot of people think, yo, he's what hack that defense. More of them on. More of them on. Take off a winger.
Actually, yeah, I can see that.
You know what I'm talking about? Pack that
Stink out the
defense with
place.
more
Really
defenders.
stink it out. Stink it out.
Yeah, he could have
Like-
stinked it out defensive. He could have brought on more. If that was Mourinho's bringing on like Ben Davis. He's bringing on any
100%.
defense. You know what? Solanke's not even touching the pitch.
You know what? I agree, and you know, hindsight is always wonderful, and you know, one thing that TJ we can agree on though, bro, is that we're a lot more secure. Where last year it looked like we had opened up the floodgates of heaven, and we knew we could easily get panned 4, 5, 6. I'm looking at how we have set up today. I'm looking at the game against Arsenal. I'm even looking at the game against Newcastle, and I'm saying, you know what? We're going to be tough to beat. You know what I mean? We're going to be tough to beat, and you know, and why I called it common sense football during the stream was because the first thing you got to do in any club is sort out your defence, and I feel like he's sorting that out with the structure. I also like the fact that he's added the long throw, the set piece thing.
Yeah.
That's an added element to our game we never had last season. Do you get what I'm saying? Now for us is to work out, and he mentioned it after the Arsenal game, we just lack that creativity. I'm hoping we get the right business done, but even if we were to go ahead with this squad with no signings, we know that the team has shown character, that they can stink out a few results against the big boys. You know what I'm saying? Against Arsenal's and Newcastle's. It's just not going to be pretty to watch.
Yeah, and it's not going to be the big boys that you're going to have a problem on. It's like when we play Burnley at the weekend. Burnley are a defensive side as well. It's going to be, everyone's going to expect us to have the ball, and we're literally going to be relying on Kudus to kind of do anything. Otherwise, we ain't doing jack.
Yeah.
And that's the bit where people are going to start getting frustrated.
100%.
But the problem is, we've got to wait till this game plays out on Sunday. Saturday, and see where we go from there. But TJ, thank you for calling in.
Thank you, TJ, bro.
Bro,
Good, my
it's
bro.
good to see
Nice
you
to
again.
meet you as well.
Yeah.
100%. Just one last thing before I head off, because I know you've got a lot of people. Look, it's going to take time. Frank is going to learn from this, and hopefully he will improve. You know, he basically nullified the best squad in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and coming from Tottenham that finished 17th place, that's a damning good thing, you know. So
6
yeah,
weeks.
man.
6 weeks.
In 6 weeks as well, bro.
Yeah.
In 6
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Well done,
See you
bro.
guys later, man.
TJ, good to see you again. We got a super chat from Akko. He says, we can blame the quality, but not subs. Low confidence, big game call for proven. One thing I like about Ange was he was all confidence for big games. The only thing
I thought we were confident.
Yeah, the thing is that, do you know what? I know a lot of people talk about how good we are defensively. The problem is, if we're not scoring, we've got the complete opposite to what we had last year.
Yeah.
That's the bit where, okay, we were conceding a lot, but we were actually scoring.
Yeah.
The problem now we're going to have this year is that we're going to not concede a lot, but we're not going to score a lot. So it's going to go from one extreme to the other, but we'll see how it turns out. Anyway, let's bring on our next guest, and it's Brad. Brad, are you well?
Yeah, I'm well, guys. Can you hear me well? Can you see me well?
We can hear you. Talk to us. Tell us how you're feeling right now. You've obviously heard a lot of the other guests come on. You've had some time to dwell on it. How are you now feeling? Are you still in the same way you were after the game, or have you managed to get your feelings together and go, you know what, I'm going to say on We Are Tottenham TV, go on.
It's quite a hard act to follow after all those amazing guests. I feel like
Save the best till last.
we shall see. I didn't expect to win today. I thought if we were going to win, it was going to be by 1-0, some jammy goal, and we managed to hold on.
I'm with you, yeah.
For 90 minutes. That was the only way I thought we were going to win. I did not expect to be 2-0 up against PSG before the 60-minute mark. I'm honestly so proud of the boys today for what they managed to achieve against the champions of Europe. You know, all the Arsenal fans and all the Arsenal fan channels came on to mock us, but we gave them a lot more trouble today than Arsenal did over 2 legs.
Yeah.
So I can be
100%.
proud of what the boys did today. I do agree with everyone else, though. I feel like the tactics were right. We worked. It was just so much more cohesive on that pitch. And I think Kudus makes so much of a difference. Every time Kudus got the ball, it was so difficult for him to lose possession. It's like every time he got it, it stuck to him like glue.
Yeah.
And he would carry it all the way to that final third. I'm so happy that we got Kudus, but squad depth is a problem. Up to the 85th minute, I was in the pubs watching the match, and as soon as Tull came on, there was resounding groans throughout the room. And I don't want to be harsh on him. At the end of the day, he's a young player. He doesn't have the best experience. He's what, 3rd, 4th choice striker for Bayern Munich? And how old is he? What, 20,
19,
21?
20? Yeah, 19,
19, 20, something like that. At his level now, I see him as Timo Werner, as he is now. But Timo Werner's 28. He's 19, 20. So he has potential, but whether he reaches that is another question. But he was not the person to bring on.
Yeah, 100%.
Not in that
moment.
game, yeah, you're right.
Because he didn't even hit it on target for that penalty. Like, I just, I can't, I find it, I struggle to forgive that. I really do. Because I think Odegaard scores, Johnson scores. I mean, all the other options we have on the bench.
They do score.
And he comes on, he didn't, it wasn't even on target. It was, oh God.
But he volunteered. That's the killer. He would have volunteered and said, let me take one, even though he was having a shocker. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's the killer in the whole thing. I fully agree. The one thing you said, Brads, though, that people have said it, but I feel like sometimes we're not, but it's even hit me more, is that quality, man. That quality is a big thing for Spurs. I think Thomas Frank could even be the guy, you know. I honestly, I'm starting to switch now. I actually think what an impressive job against PSG, because you can't compare the quality of the two teams. Look at even that Mbaye that came on the left hand side. Imagine if we had him on the left. It's a different game entirely. I just really.
But the problem is that I have, if anyone knows Frank, and Brad, you probably can answer this after I've said it. What Brentford were good at was playing against the top six sides, the top sides that would keep the ball. That's where Frank shone. It was when he played the crap sides where Brentford should be winning. He wasn't winning those games all the time. He wasn't, because he was picking up the results against the big boys because he had the tactics to do it. When like Southampton or Leeds would come to Brentford, they'd be getting results, these shock results, because Brentford weren't killing them off like they were in the bigger games. Like, if you go look at Brentford for the last 3 years, who are their best results always been against? The Manchester Cities, the Arsenals. Okay, they never. I think they've never beat us at the Brentford Stadium.
No. Well,
so, that just sums it all up for me, because we haven't probably been a big side since Brentford came up. So, it just this is the problem that we're going to have. We're going to look at this as a massive positive, and it is a massive positive. But let's go back to the Newcastle friendly, let's go back to the Wickham friendly, and let's go back to the Reading friendly and all those friendlies where we were expected, and look at the performances that happened. But then you go to the Arsenal, which was a poor game that we had. We had one shot on target, which was from the halfway line.
I agree. And
to be fair, the first goal that we scored was Jamie in the first place.
Yeah,
like, it bounced off the top corner, and Van der Ven was just in the right spot to take advantage.
Exactly.
That
so
was
the goal,
Jamie. And then the second goal was a fumble from the
keeper who should
have
saved it. So this is where we've kind of this is where we're
that's
at.
The thing. We were doing so well, but it was just when people were getting leggy, it was time to make those changes. I think there were better options. They weren't chosen, but even those better options, I don't know if that takes us over the line, really. But put it this way, the way I look at it,
Good point.
We've lost Son permanently. He's gone. He's never coming back. Madders is out for the season. Kulu, who knows when he's coming back? We got no word. Maybe September, December?
No, so he's due back late. He's due back in October, November, but he probably won't kick a ball. So he'll go back to training, I think, in October, but he won't kick a ball. Probably he'll be match fit until November. Then he's got to get up to speed, which, if we know what Kulu's like playing in the Spurs shirt, that takes 3 months. So technically, we're not going to see the best of Kulu until about March, April. What you're hoping for is, if we're in the Champions League quarterfinals, that's when he's going to realistically come back. But
I think the point I was getting to was that our squad, as it was tonight, was probably, other than Kudus, probably wasn't as good as what Ange had in that Bilbao final. Wait, sorry, have I got mixed up?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, the squad is probably, like, other than Kudus, overall, it wasn't as good. And we only managed to beat United by 1 goal, 1 jammy goal. And we defended against a United side. That's probably the worst that we've seen since they got relegated.
Probably in a lot of our lifetimes as well.
Like, it's like literally it was probably the worst side in the Premier League. I would be confident that if it was Ipswich going up against them, Ipswich would have won. But that's just my opinion. So I think we've gone up against the champions of Europe, and we took them to penalties. And I think that's given me a lot more optimism for our season than I was where I was at before. Because
Same.
before I was thinking, are we even going to make 10th?
I'm with you. I'm with you, Brad. Sorry to cut you. I'm 100% with you. Like, it's shown me that Thomas Frank is more intelligent than I gave him credit for. However, I will say this though, and this thought has only come in since you've been speaking. I think we take this positivity, this carries on, provided we beat Burnley on the weekend. I think if we don't beat Burnley on the weekend, I'm going to be pretty pissed off, because it will take the shine off this performance, because anyone can raise their game for a final. Do you get what I'm saying? It's PSG. You can self-motivate yourself. You wanna prove on the big stage. How many billions of people were watching this game? Now you got bloody Burnley on the weekend, where only a couple million are watching it. Can you raise your game and get the result? If we can get a result against Burnley, then I might start to think Thomas Frank is the guy that might help us get over the line. But if we draw or lose,
the forwards
I'll
need
be
to
pissed.
the forwards need to turn up, because if we're relying on our defence to score our goals, say if it's a Pedro Porro and say a Paulinho, we say we won 2-0, but it was from Pedro Porro and Paulinho that scored. It's concerning, because again, Burnley are not going to be tipped to be in the top 10. They're probably going to be tipped to be fighting relegation, and yet we're relying on our defenders to get goals against them. This is where we need our attackers to show how good they are. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, personally, if we lose to Burnley, I'm still not that bad about it. I mean, we went through last season. I mean, who did we beat last season? In the Premier League, who did we beat?
Hey, we beat Man City away. Allow it.
Yeah, we beat.
Hardly
We beat City.
I don't see Manchester United getting any 3 points past last year.
You know, this is Arsenal, Real Madrid all over again. We got the Real Madrid trophy. We got the City trophy. We beat City.
Ooh, we own Manchester.
Yeah, true. But we'll see this season though, because
gonna be
Manchester
interesting.
United finished lower than us, and they've gone all out this summer. And here we are. We fumbled Gibbs White. We might get Savinho. We might get Eze. Very big ifs.
I think we need to get.
But you know,
We need to
I think personally, I think where we finish, somewhere between 7th and 10th with the current squad that we have. That's my opinion.
I agree.
If we can get a Savinho or an Eze, then maybe we can start talking about a Champions League spot, like a fourth or fifth.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's it.
Brad, thank you for it so much. Make sure you call in again. It's nice speaking to you. And come on, you Spurs.
Spurs.
Oh, so he was the last one. Deji, want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, big up everyone. Marlon, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be with everyone as well in the chat. And thank you, We Are Tottenham TV, for allowing me to occupy the space. Deji Spurs, I might run home now. Probably take me an hour. I think I'm going to need to do something tonight on my channel. So I'll probably do something about 1 a.m. But Deji Spurs, Instagram and YouTube. But thank you for allowing me to be in this space today. It was awesome.
Yeah, big thank you to everyone that joined us for the watch along, everyone that joined us for the match reaction, and everybody that called in. Ben and Sim, I believe, are back on Friday. Am I right in that? Yeah, so Ben and Sim will be back on Friday, as they are travelling back from the Super Cup as from tomorrow. So there'll be nothing tomorrow on We Are Tottenham TV, live anyway. But make sure, if you haven't already, you hit the like, subscribe and comment. You can find me and Ash, who was here earlier, at Spurs Kings TV. And look, hopefully, when they do the preview on Friday for Burnley and we get going Saturday, we will see the new Spurs. And hopefully, look, I think what's disappointing tonight, and I think all of us, is the fact that we're 2-0 up.
Yeah.
And we played well. Yeah. I think that's the disappointing thing, and it's just like, oh.
It's disappointing, but also, I'm a believer in it's better to have loved than lost than to have never loved at all. I'd rather be 2-0 up and lose.
I'd rather
than to lose 3-4-0.
I suppose I'd rather go through tonight than what I went through at Bayern, because Bayern I was completely just on the floor like, what is this? Yeah. But no, they've shown their class tonight, and some of them can help, hold their heads up high. Look, all I'm gonna say, I'm gonna leave it on this note. Matisse Tell, it's not about him being young. I do agree he's a professional footballer, but it's not his fault. It's not his fault. He's come to a club. He's just had a bad couple of years, and Frank's put him out there. He had other options. Frank's put him out there. So it's not completely his fault. And probably thought, yes, I saw him take a penalty last year and he has missed. Look, Van der Ven's missed tonight as well, but I know Van der Ven scored and played really well. But it's just the way it is. But anyway, as I said, make sure if you haven't already, please like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.